That's a dog, but today's show is sponsored by a shark. That's right, Surfshark.
Hello, Biggie. You love Surfshark. Do you love Surfshark?
Yes, he does.
Do you love the sharks of the surf?
He fucking loves it.
What? For instance, if you like being anonymous online, which some people really do because they want to go and, say, buy sexy underwear for their girlfriend.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, that's smart. But they don't want their girlfriend or anyone online to be able to know or see it.
It sounds like you're wanting to buy sexy underwear for you.
Sometimes I like buying sexy underwear for myself.
Yeah, fair enough, mate.
Yeah, I think I do wear sexy underwear.
think that men don't do that enough. Lads, treat yourself.
Yeah, go on, treat yourself. Put the VPN in and away you go.
Yeah, but don't forget to use our code.
Exactly, yeah. What's the code?
Geordie!
So the next time you're going to wear some sexy underwear, think of Geordie.
I feel like this is more of a brand deal for underwear, Lawrence.
No, it absolutely is a brand deal for Surfshark, because if you want to go anywhere else in the world and put yourself digitally in that country, then you could say log on Surfshark on any one of your devices, because it's available on all of your devices.
That's good.
Laptop, PC, phone.
You've just been to America.
I've just been to America.
So
I actually did use it in America.
If you want to go back there digitally, you can.
And here's the crazy thing about it. If you use code Geordie, then you can get yourself 83% off, 3 months for free, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee that if you don't like Surfshark, they'll give you your money back.
That's confidence.
That's confidence. It's confidence in a product.
Imagine that. Just being like, if you don't like it, you get your money back. Where else would you get that? Imagine saying that in the supermarket. They wouldn't have it.
Exactly. I don't like these
Oreos.
Oreos.
Bring back a half pack of ham.
Yeah, exactly.
Not happening.
I mean, Brian's tried it before.
Yeah.
You got halfway through the pack and you realised you didn't like it.
There's so much fat on here.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I thought this was Turkey.
Anyway, don't forget.
Which is, by the way, another place you can go with your VPN.
Don't forget, the link is in the description below. Use code Geordie, 83% off, money back guarantee, 30 days,
free.
3 months extra for free.
All because of us.
Way I.
Thank them and us later. Enjoy the show. A moment of silence for the death of True News. Back, motherfuckers!
Welcome back to True News. You asked for it. You begged for it. So some of you may have heard of a podcaster called Joseph Rogan.
Is his name Joseph?
I think it might be. I mean, let's just say it is.
Yeah, sure.
Basically, the reason I started doing podcasts, when he started, he was just talking about UFOs and Bigfoot and smoking weed with his mates, which, who doesn't love that?
Right.
You know? Over the years, more and more people started listening to Joe Rogan, and before we knew it, I think he had like 11 million listeners.
On average.
Which is a lot.
It was 11 million in terms of podcasts. That's big. Also probably bigger than most of the mainstream channels that are sort of out there.
No, actually, if you combine all of the mainstream and put them together, it's probably still bigger than that. Which is why
that's a lot.
They might not really like him very much because he's one man with a few cameras. He's independent, basically. He can have his own thoughts, his own conversations.
Right.
And he is not being told to say stuff to you guys by anyone. These news shows in America are all backed by big corporations, and there's a narrative that they have to tell you. They're not like Joe Rogan, and he's dangerous in their eyes. But what they're trying to say is he's a danger to you, not to them. He is a black belt, so pretty dangerous.
In their eyes, this is killing two birds with one stone, right? Have a go at Joe Rogan, see if you can cancel him, but also get loads of clicks while you do it. Because people are going to want to see your news story about Joe Rogan, clearly. So either way, they win. They either get views because they attack Joe Rogan, or they get views because Joe Rogan's no longer a source.
To just refresh your memory, part of the reason why Joe Rogan is now all of a sudden this big deal is because he signed $100 million deal with Spotify, and in the process started giving some political opinions about, does he prefer Bernie Sanders, does he prefer Donald Trump, what does he think of Joe Biden? And the minute he entered that game, the war had begun. And later on, when COVID hit, he was obviously talking about alternative treatments, and he was talking to different doctors and professors. And again, the government and the mainstream media don't want someone else having that level of power to sway people away from their message. So he is enemy number one right now.
Misinformation and making money off of it. Disinformation, I should say.
She is literally misinforming us about the word misinformation.
Joe Rogan has been at the center of controversy for comments that he's made about the pandemic and vaccines. Spotify has been pressured to do something about it, but it stood behind its most popular podcaster. And now Rogan is under fire for some new comments from an episode this week. CNN's Paula Newton joining us live from Ottawa.
The way this woman's like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
like her whole facial expression is like, this is truly awful.
Let's see what she says. Maybe she'll be balanced. I want to see.
What happened here? What did he say?
Yeah, Brianna, this was quite an epic conversation.
Great way to describe the Joe Rogan podcast.
She loved it.
She loved
Big
it.
subscriber.
And the issue is here, people tune into Joe Rogan because there are no guardrails to the discussion. That's why they listen to him. Many call the discussion ignorant, and some found it incredibly hurtful. Listen.
Not for the first time, the Joe Rogan Experience.
Not for the first time, the Joe Rogan Experience does this.
I just love the way they talk.
Do you know what else I love is? I love her tone is she's like a disappointed headmistress that you just wandered into.
Yeah.
So you wander into the room and she
then-
goes, listen, Brian, it's not for the first time that I've had to have you.
To be honest, though, I found them chats more arousing than the way she's. That's another story.
Yeah, you shouldn't talk about your erections in school.
Not for the first time, the Joe Rogan Experience featured contentious Canadian psychologist and author Jordan Peterson. This time for over 4 hours.
Wait.
To be fair, a 4-hour podcast is fucking mental.
No, but-
like,
but-
who's got the time for that shit?
But
Do you know what I mean?
This is the thing, though. It's the way they say it, as if they've broken some kind of law. Like,
Had a conversation for over 4 hours.
no, but that is.
The men went late into the night, and it's unusual that they spoke for more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, is that not against some sort of COVID law?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In a free-ranging, reductive back and forth about topics Peterson has no expertise in.
I love the way they've deliberately picked a video clip of Peterson looking like an absolute mentalist. Right. This is a man who is literally a doctor. He is one of the smartest guys online, right? I don't agree with everything Jordan Peterson says, but he is smart. If you have someone muted and you're talking over them doing weird hand actions, of course he looks like a nutter, and that is their goal here.
Right.
And why would CNN want to have a pop at Joe Rogan after he brought one of their presenters on and humiliated the fuck out of them?
Yeah.
After he said, why is CNN lying about me? And the presenter shut the bed and had no clue what to say. But forget the agenda. Let's just see what they've got to say.
So you think that a lot of what's going on with people that want to change their gender identity is creativity?
No, I don't think so.
So what do you...
I know so. There's no such thing as climate, right? Climate and everything are the same word.
And this one on race.
I am white. Actually, that's a lie, too. I'm kind of tan.
This is like a 4.5 hour podcast. They've literally scanned it and went, what are the worst 3 sentences we can find?
Right.
That out of context make this look shocking. The amount of things you can take out of context and make them look ridiculous or evil or silly. It's literally become an art form on YouTube. There's literally videos where it's called out of context because it is so funny.
That's kind of what worries me.
We're adults now. Back when we were teenagers and something like that, we could be easily manipulated. We're now in 2022 when people are so easily manipulated into believing that things said out of context are just genuine and are as literal as what the words have just been said, with probably 15 minutes of setup completely missing.
Sure.
So one of the main things that the media have gone after Joe Rogan on is his personal treatment cycle that he sort of put together for when he had COVID, and it's something that he has offered out to all of his close friends, celebrities and the like, and Dana White backed him up. I tried it, he said it worked the wonders for me. Now, this is something where Joe Rogan's got a lot of money, the celebrities have got a lot of money. I think the fact that he was even coming out with it frightened the mainstream media a bit, because they're going, let's get everyone vaccinated. That's what they wanted.
Their approach is one size fits all. And the problem with what Joe Rogan said, from their perspective, not his, was, well, I've got a different size over here, and actually it works pretty well. But they were like, just shut up. We need you to do the main thing.
Being that he has said, look, I'm young, I'm healthy, I feel fine. I don't personally feel the need to take the vaccine. The minute he said that, they instantly were like, we have to take this guy down. For whatever reason, they've tried to do that. And, you know, from the ivermectin that he was taking, which was prescribed to hundreds of thousands of people in America, was then all of a sudden turned into, it's a horse drug, and we need to make Joe Rogan out to be some crackpot, homemade fucking medicine guy. And that was one of the main things that CNN went after him for. And as it happened, he made a mental note of it, got a CNN guy on his podcast and basically said, why are you lying?
Why lying for? What happened? Didn't go well.
By the way, I'm glad you're better. I'm glad it only lasted a day.
You're probably the only one at CNN that's glad.
No. We're not.
The rest of them are all lying about me taking horse medication. And we should talk about that.
That bothered you.
It should bother you, too. They're lying at your network about people taking human drugs versus drugs for veterinary.
Calling it a horse dewormer is not a flattering thing. I get that.
It's a lie. It's a lie on a news network, and it's a lie that they're conscious of. It's not a mistake.
I think what Joe's saying there is they're willfully misleading people in their information.
They're literally misinforming people.
Did you see that thing that the FDA put out?
What did the FDA put out?
It was a tweet, and it was snarky. I admit it. They said, "You are not a horse. You are not a cow. Stop taking this stuff," or something like that.
Why would you say that when you're talking about a drug that's been given out to billions and billions of people, a drug that was responsible for one of the inventors of it winning the Nobel Prize in 2015?
Yeah.
Yeah, a drug that has been shown to stop viral replication in vitro. You know that.
The thing is, we're like going so fast. Like I feel like I'm missing.
Do you think that's a problem that your news network lies?
Well, I don't.
Dude.
What did they say?
They lied and said I was taking horse dewormer.
I used to feed polos to horses.
Right. Very dangerous as well. Probably shouldn't have done that. That's right? That's actually really irresponsible.
Is it?
Yeah.
They're like apples as well, I'm told.
I think he's put his guest in a tricky situation there because the guest obviously has an interest in working for someone who employs
Well, he wants to keep his job, but he also knows it's bullshit.
I think it makes it quite clear what is true there because the guy can't reply with anything solid. Right?
We're going really fast here.
What I do find interesting... Yeah, we're going really quick here.
Quick here. What, to the truth?
You can't handle the truth.
Joe Rogan now has a platform and has a perception. With that, people know what the format is. They're kind of attacking a format that actually seems to be working.
They're deliberately misinterpreting Joe Rogan's profession, which is podcaster, and acting like he's a newsreader and acting like it's his job to keep the nation informed. You know, if he is wrong, so what? That's his problem, and he will lose viewers over that. That is not the job of CNN to attack. The fact that they have turned their observation to him shows it's about attention and about viewing figures and about the war for you guys to listen to them because they're clearly losing you. And why are they losing regular people? Because we don't trust them anymore. And why is that? Because they keep telling us one thing and then telling us another and another. And when they get caught, they don't admit I was wrong. But you know who does admit they were wrong? Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, right.
That's why his credibility is up here and regular news is down there, is because they will never admit they are wrong. And we know that. Same for the politicians. You can't trust them. That's why people are turning to a podcaster. Not because we want to, but because we can't trust those fuckers.
What we're learning here is it's not about the actual news corporation. It's about the people who own these things and what their agenda is.
Oh, yeah. They want to torpedo him.
Right.
Yeah. And it's no different to what Howard Stern had years and years ago.
It's no different to Howard Stern, Jon Stewart. Anyone with a platform that seems to be giving people information that is counter to what a lot of the mainstream media say,
or even just considering it, even having a conversation. And that is the main thing that we've seen in the last few years. Is censorship. Shut down the conversation. There is one message, and anyone who even questions it, you're a crackpot, you're a nutcase. Don't even. I'm not saying he's always right, but I'm defending the right for him to have these conversations and be wrong.
I wanted to make a video to address some of the controversy that's been going on over the past few days.
This is another great reason, by the way, of why people follow Joe Rogan. They feel like they have a direct line to a guy that they can have a real relationship with. They can judge him as a person. They can judge what his intention is, and he can just go on his platform and speak. This was one take. This wasn't cut away to another thing. We're going to go to a news break now. We're going to go to an ad break. This was just him speaking honestly for...
And not like, and now for the news.
Right.
The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes. A little bit about some other ones, but specifically about 2. One with Dr. Peter McCullough and one with Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Peter McCullough is a cardiologist, and he is the most published physician in his field in history.
Sounds like a quack to me.
Dr. Robert Malone owns 9 patents on the creation of mRNA vaccine technology and is at least partially responsible for the creation of the technology that led to mRNA vaccines.
What does he know about vaccines? Am I right? Quite a lot.
Oh, quite a bit. Quite a bit. Sorry.
Both these people are very highly credentialed, very intelligent, very accomplished people, and they have an opinion that's different from the mainstream narrative. I wanted to hear what their opinion is.
You can watch this whole 10 minutes for yourself, but as you can tell, Joe is very calm. He's explaining that this is the Joe Rogan experience, not Joe Rogan news. And it's him asking questions to experts who may have different opinions. And that should be appreciated. It shouldn't be something that is just like shut down and censored. And this is getting more and more aggressive towards him. And that's what freaks me out. He's a reasonable man, right? And he gets things wrong. And if you've watched Joe Rogan as long as I have, and I've watched him pretty much from day one, there's been times where he's been high as fuck off his face with his friends saying dumb shit. Like, that's what we love about him. He isn't perfect. He isn't always right. And he will, admit where he's made mistakes, or that there should be warnings, or, Spotify maybe can have a warning before his podcast to say, do your own research and all of that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? But it's the way he's having to defend himself on a weekly fucking basis. Yeah.
A real issue is that they don't want to look at a lot of the people who did actually handle COVID badly. For instance, a government on either side of the Atlantic. So it's very easy to say to someone like Joe Rogan, well, you stopped people from getting the vaccine because you said this one thing.
Literally, mate, it's a fucking joke. And yet the people who were supposed to be protecting us, actually giving us the right information, fucking it up religiously in the news, and the government politicians constantly making mistakes, breaking their own fucking rules. The fact that this guy's getting it shows that the media are a tool of the government and not there to question the government. And this has never been more obvious now.
Joe Rogan is getting more analysis of what he says than the actual politicians who are responsible.
Boris Johnson has been caught lying more times than I've wiped my arse in my life, and yet they're not attacking him the way this guy gets it.
Right, exactly. And that would be my point here, is not only does Joe Rogan deserve to be evaluated, and by all means do that,
but in context, he's a podcaster, not a politician. You can bet your bottom dollar that they're going through every Joe Rogan podcast with a fine-tooth comb. CNN, all of them will have 100 employees just listening around. They're probably sitting there going, actually, it's pretty good. I see why people like this.
We should do a format like this, actually, guys.
And they've picked out every time he's ever used the N-word, which I don't agree with. I love Joe Rogan, but I would never agree with that.
And you can't condone it. And clearly, Joe Rogan instantly, as soon as he realised there was an issue, did apologise.
But the way they're reporting it is if he's used it in a way that is directed at someone almost as an insult without any context. Now, I'm not saying that makes it okay, but it does make it different, right? Context is important.
People have the ability to learn and change. And part of cancel culture and part of what the news is perpetuating here is the second you make a mistake, you don't deserve the right to right that mistake or to say, hey, I actually made a mistake here. You basically take it down, don't leave it there anymore. And if that happened with the news, we wouldn't have any news networks left. What we're allowing people to do here is frame all of this through cancel culture. And there is one end that people want to meet with this, which is take him off the platform, don't give him a deal, don't allow people to speak if they can't say what is generally agreed upon, and it stops proper conversations from having. It's a misunderstanding of what actual public discourse needs to be.
Do you know the problem for them is, though? If they do take him off the platform, guess what? The next day, the platform he starts becomes the platform.
Right.
So who's really the platform? Is it Spotify, or is Spotify on Joe Rogan's platform? Because he is that big, they're basically a partner with him. They don't own him. The minute they let him go, he's laughing. He's creating his own thing. Next thing you know, he's even richer than before. So they're just going to keep trying more of this and expect it. Anything else that he said at any point, any joke that he's made, every stand-up thing he's ever done, they're combing and they're looking. And if you're a fan of Joe Rogan, he's probably going to need your support more than ever in the next few years. The White House has actually urged Spotify to take further action on Joe Rogan. Now, I'm annoyed that Joe Rogan is getting so much publicity.
Right.
What do I have to say?
Don't go down this.
I've heard that having COVID makes you have a bigger dick. So is it really that bad?
Right.
What do I have to say to get this kind of coverage?
I must have had a lot of COVID.
At what point?
I've had a fuck ton of COVID.
What point will 10 Downing Street come after us and say we need him off of YouTube? Because I want that kind of coverage.
I think the problem is you've got to be of a certain level of fame for anyone to give a fuck. If you got taken off YouTube, people would just go,
that's true.
Who, Geordie?
It's our overlord. You know the guy who you said would be the worst Prime Minister ever a couple of years ago?
Oh, that's trendy to say now. I'm going to get on my fucking high horse for a minute. When we couldn't get views off it, when it wasn't about, I'm just going to do something crazy and that'll show Boris Johnson who's right. We were talking about this and we had people criticising us. and spamming us in the comments and saying, you don't know what you're talking about. Boris Johnson he's trying his best.
That was literally the comment.
Boris Johnson is trying his best. Well, guess what, guys? Boris Johnson's best was partying while none of us could go and see our own fucking family.
To be fair, that's me at my best.
That's you at your best.
So he has got You're being a bit harsh there.
I'm being a little harsh.
Because I know me at my best.
Right.
Belly full of whiskey.
Right, yeah. And Boris definitely got the belly for it.
I understand and share the anger up and down the country at seeing Number 10 staff seeming to make light of lockdown measures.
Seeming to. Even now, Boris Johnson can't admit that it wasn't seeming to. They were making light of these measures. Own your fucking words.
And I can understand how infuriating it must be to think that the people who have been setting the rules have not been following the rules.
Stop gaslighting us. He's like a fucking toxic boyfriend. I mean, if you want to think that, then that's absolutely fine. You think what you want, all right? But I'll be over here on my own.
Because I was also furious to see that clip.
I think he was actually furious about seeing the clip, but not for the same reason that we were. I watched that and went, what the fuck? Boris Johnson went, oh, what the fuck? How did this get out? The rules were
the
always
amount of
followed.
times Tory politicians went on the news and said, we followed the rules throughout all of those parties. It's like, do you actually hear what you're fucking saying? The point was, you're not supposed to have the fucking parties in the first place, you prick. That's the rule. So if you have a party, you ain't following them.
That's Boris Johnson there, furious at the idea that a party may have been had. I, for one, stayed home alone for Christmas. Didn't go and see anyone. Missed both my parents. My son's first Christmas.
A lot of people were like looking at their grandmas through glass and stuff like
Absolutely, yeah. And Boris Johnson...
They hadn't put them in a glass case or anything.
Right,
it was just
not
a window.
all of them. Not all of them.
Just
Some of them.
window.
Right, okay. And of course, in solidarity with the country, Boris Johnson did exactly the same.
A photo has emerged of the Prime Minister in Downing Street on the 15th of December 2020, surrounded by alcohol, food, and people wearing tinsel.
Ah, that's awkward.
But he had no idea, though.
He had no
He
idea.
had no idea. He's sitting in his office going, why are all these people munching on cheese and crackers, drinking wine and listening to Spice Girls?
What worries me is this no different to any other day in Downing Street? Another day hitting the voddies and making the laws.
Am I right?
It looks a lot like one of the Christmas parties he told us never happened.
In what he has just said, I'm afraid he is completely in error.
It's just an error.
Let Boris Johnson...
It's an error on your part.
Well, you shouldn't be speaking over the Prime Minister. Have some respect for a man who's of such high order.
The photograph referred to is all over social media. Everybody can see the photo. The Prime Minister is in the photo.
Everyone can see the photo. I don't understand why you won't just acknowledge it, Boris.
Will he refer to the matter to the police? Because this is not one of the parties already being investigated by the Metropolitan Police.
Prime Minister! Yes, that's precisely the point, Mr. Speaker. It already has been. It already has been. That event already has been submitted for investigation.
And do you know what the mad thing is, right? There was like people saying goodbye to their like dying relatives, and there was people like who missed opportunities to have a final Christmas with a relative who then later passed away, and this guy's having a fucking jolly up. I fucking knew this would happen, so I ignored the cunts the whole time. I'm left with no regrets, me. I had a good Christmas.
Fantastic Christmas. I did have a good Christmas. I just didn't have a good Christmas with my family. I wanted my dad there on the Christmas day. Do you know what I mean? Didn't have him there on Christmas Day. That's what I'm saying. That's what pissed me off.
I didn't want my dad there on Christmas Day. I didn't invite him.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's your prerogative.
No offense, Dad.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean?
I wanted my dad there. Didn't have him. So Nadeem, Education Secretary, and I will use their first name because we're on terms like that, has basically said, and I'll read the headline: pupils shouldn't criticise Boris Johnson in class, says Education Secretary. Pupils should not be criticising Boris Johnson as part of their coursework, the Education Secretary has said. Tories reacting with anger on Wednesday after it emerged that children at a school in Nottingham had been writing letters critical of the PM's behaviour as part of an exercise.
Did they do this on a tannoy and tell the students, like, you must not criticise your Prime Minister. Everything he does is always correct.
He should be above criticism.
Enjoy your Prime Minister. He loves you. Do you remember when the Tory party said save the NHS?
Yeah.
And then said that people who work for the NHS must be clapped every Thursday. Remember that? And then
I clapped a lot.
And then they got us all to obey all of the ridiculous rules that were put in place, which basically restricted us to do anything we fucking wanted to, in the name of save the NHS after they've underfunded it for decades. And then they tell the people who work for the NHS, well, if you haven't got the vaccine, I don't care how much natural immunity you've got, you're getting sacked in the morning.
Save the NHS, they said. They said save it.
Well, apparently they were all going to be sacked. So you've got all of these people who've given their blood, sweat and tears to save people, putting themselves at risk for years, literally, and then told, thanks for that, but we'll be saying yous off if you don't want to get a vaccine. Then they just go back on it. You talk about misinformation. How much misinformation do you want to go through in that? Sack the NHS, save the NHS. You're hired, you're fired.
If you do want to hold the government to account, do remember that there were 8.7 billion of losses on PPE government accounts. So that's 8.7 billion just up in the air.
Oops.
Gone. Goodbye.
What about the app, the track and trace?
We don't know.
That was another one. Even more on that.
That's a whole other set of money over there, Brian. That's just another set of money. Just
even more.
Poof.
Do you remember when the Joker just set the pile of cash on fire?
Absolutely, yeah. By the way, the person we have to question in all of this is Joe Rogan. Not Sajid Javid, not any of the people who are responsible for all this shit, but the person who's got the podcast. Not the person who's actually responsible for the laws and the person who signed all these things off. The people who question that. Who's the more dangerous person in the room here?
Joe Rogan. He's got a black belt.
Imagine if someone set fire to 8.7 billion. That's exactly what this government did.
But enough about that. What's on Netflix? All right, the Tinder Swindler. It's exactly what it says on the tin. You know, uses Tinder to swindler. And basically,
they should have seen it coming with that name.
There's this guy who they make out to be some debonair fucking Christian Grey billionaire type of guy, sweeps the women off their feet, shows them a lifestyle that they'll never ever have without him, and he makes them fall in love with them. Now,
he makes them, does he? Does he put a gun to their head and go, fall in love?
You know, that's kind of how it is put across. Like,
okay.
What chance did she have? You know what I mean? And I do think this documentary does not explore at any point, could you have been a bit more switched on? It's completely, he's bad, they're good. I get it, because he is such an arsehole, even if they are slightly to blame for their own downfall.
And
because
desperate.
And desperate for the cash. And maybe they were in love with him. I'm just going to suspend belief for a second. He is such an arsehole that you just fucking hate him. And you do feel sorry for these people.
Right.
But if Louis Theroux made this documentary, there would have been a bit of him to go, at what point did you think maybe you shouldn't have been sending him the hundreds of thousands of pounds because you hadn't seen a penny of it back yet?
You know this man for weeks.
I don't think that they did a good job in really getting into the grey areas of the documentary. You know, were you just really hungry for that lifestyle and willing to do anything to get it? I'm not saying they were, but the question isn't even asked. And I think most people sat at home watching the documentary are like, what? Like, yeah, I get you were bombarded with all of these riches, but how come at no point you thought, you're asking for how much again? Like, you know,
but a lot of them trusted they'd see it back as well, right?
I get it, and the main woman who talks about this is a lovely person, and you can tell she genuinely, I think she did love him.
Where's she from?
Norway.
Yeah, definitely not London. London women, literally, you go, can you lend us a tenner? And they go, you fucking off. What, love?
It's a fantastic documentary where this guy has literally managed to, as I'm sure you've probably seen by now, escape really what he deserves, which is to see an early fucking grave, because this guy deserves the worst.
Deserves to die.
No, this guy is a danger.
Well, let me be the judge of that.
He is a horrible bastard.
Through Simon's TikTok, which is also the official.
Hope it's going to be a great flight.
Right, so what Simon's managed to do is, and what I do believe this documentary has done, it's given him notoriety.
Oh, if anything, he's like the new Dan Bilzerian or some shit. This guy's like, he's just banging models.
It wouldn't surprise me if there were other rich people out there that went, how much money do you owe? I'll cover that, let's fuck. Weirdly, this guy seems to be just getting away with it.
And that's the problem, is like, as much as, you know, some of these women at some point should have said, what the fuck is going on earlier, they've been swindled, and he is an utter twat.
What did Simon do in bed is a real question for me. This guy must be fucking hung like a donkey, because he's ugly as fuck.
No, another thing is, like, it takes all, like, responsibility of the handing over of money away from the adults who were in their 30s. I don't think that they did a good enough job into looking at why they handed over so much money. It was very much, we were in love, open shut case, he said he needed it. There's a point in the documentary which he realizes he's fucked. and he's losing his money and he needs help from one of them, and she's just fucking with him at this point. And by the way, she's the real MVP of this whole documentary.
Wow.
There's one girl who really takes it to him. Kind of hot, by the way. Anyway, he leaves her a load of voice notes and they are fucking crazy.
Play them to me.
So just to be clear, this is the man who charmed them.
You stop playing game with me now. Stop. You acting. Listen to me. You're gonna give it today. You don't understand where the fuck you're going. I'm sorry about what I said, but that's it. But you're taking the piece out of me. I love you and I care about you.
He's wanting his, she took his clothes and sold them on eBay, and he's wanting the money.
But of course, when you say I love you to someone, you go, I love you.
He's a passionate lover.
He's a passionate lover. I love you. You love me?
I'm speaking to you nicely. I'm trying to respect you, but you don't. It seems like you're fucking with me. You have no idea how much I love you. You just need to trust me one last time.
By the way, anyone who says you just need to trust me one last time, that's really not the way that trust works.
Definitely not.
You know when someone goes, trust me, just one last time. What do you mean just one last time? I mean, trust me, we'll be together forever.
You will never play with me. Give it today. Look, Eileen, I'm sorry about everything. I give you the last fucking warning. Today. You want war? You will get fucking war. You will get fucking war.
He sounds like Scarface, doesn't he? He's a nutter.
Yeah,
this guy's
amazing.
A nutter.
Gotta admit, I kind of love it. Like, I kind of want to meet him, you know?
No, the guy is crazy. And this is the thing, is as much as I've talked about where the documentary failed, the one bit they did nail was this guy's absolutely insane, and the amount of bizarre fake scenarios that he concocted to convince these women that he had enemies and that he was a diamond billionaire.
Just listen to one Drake album. He's sitting there going, enemies, I've got a lot of enemies. And you're just like, and they're like, yeah, I'm buying this. I'll give you £100,000.
Yeah, basically.
Wow, these women basically just wanted to date Drake.
They reckon he's swindled like 10 million quid off of people. But like, I think it's probably more, given what he's driving around in and where he lives. It's probably more. This is a lesson out there to a lot of women, by the way. Aim lower. Go for a guy who isn't, you know.
Yeah. I mean, every man is a piece of shit, so just be careful the piece of shit that you go with.
No, absolutely. And I know before I go and see a woman, I always look at myself in the mirror and say, you're a piece of shit. Now let's go and make her happy.
Right.
Because you are a piece of shit.
Now,
see how lucky you are?
Right.
She shouldn't even be anywhere near you.
She shouldn't even be sitting anywhere near your dirty little dick. Anyone out there who had any hope that Rihanna was going to get with them and have sex with them and make them happy men, your dreams are over.
I do feel like you're talking to yourself here.
No, but I do know some people who really wanted to get with
Really?
Rihanna. Yeah.
Oh.
You didn't find Rihanna attractive?
No, I think she's pretty and all of that, but she's not my cup of tea.
Oh, come on, rude boy.
No, but I don't mean this in a, like, everyone's like, I'm sorry, Brian, I don't think you were in the running. I get that.
Right.
I'm just saying, if I was going to go into the celebrity crush dimension, she wouldn't be the one.
But this may be the greatest combination of genes in rap that we've ever seen.
Okay.
This is Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. This baby gonna be pretty.
I don't know, like, Beyonce, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z's not attractive to you?
You've seen A$AP Rocky. They call him Pretty Flacco. You're not seeing like how cool this kid's going to be. By the way, Rihanna seems very proud of the fact she's pregnant.
Yeah,
that way.
This is the thing, right? To women out there, look,
you're gorgeous. You're a goddess. Sure.
Could you wear a t-shirt over it?
What? Oh, you don't
why
like
is
that?
the belly always out?
Because she's trying to be.
Why
she
do
wants to
women
document
like
this.
Do you know what I mean? If
like
I walked out with my belly hanging out, everyone calls a fat fucker. Well, you lot. Oh, you're blooming. You're glowing.
Yeah.
How about no?
No one ever says to Brian. No one ever says to Brian.
No
when
one
he's
has to
sitting
see your fucking belly, right?
4 a.m. on Rocket League. No one ever looks at him and goes,
but
"You're blooming, love."
The one thing that does grow when you get pregnant, I'd love to see them. The titties. The belly, put that away.
The old milkers, as you call them, Brian.
Get the milkers out,
right?
And we'll be fine.
But look at this. For a combination of genes, do you get any better than those two? Look at that.
Nah.
He's fucking gorgeous.
He's all right. She is fit. I get it.
Look at that. What a great couple.
He's an all right looking guy.
He's all right.
What? Would you shag him? Would you?
I love bad bitches. That's my fucking problem. Yeah, I like to.
Have you seen him?
I've got a fucking problem.
Look, I'm not being funny, right? He's rocking up to a fucking award show in a fucking quilt that his nana made him.
Brian, what you don't.
What do you
understand,
want, like?
What you don't understand is.
I'm not being funny. He looks ridiculous, and she looks like Cruella de Vil there. Anyway,
jealousy's an ugly emotion.
That was true news. It's back. It's badder than ever, and we fucking hate cancel culture. And if you're perpetuating it, suck a dick. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that like button, click the sponsors, all of that shit. Subscribe. We'll see you later.
Don't forget to click the sponsors.